Alright guys, TacticalBay back again today. Hope you're enjoying your Tuesday so far, and today we're going to talk about some of the implications of this 4v4 change that was officially confirmed by the Call of Duty League yesterday with regards to the Chicago Huntsmen. This is a big deal. This is what a lot of people are talking about right now. Who is potentially getting dropped off this organization? It was confirmed by Hector on the CODcast a few days ago now that if it was staying 5v5, he would like to keep all of these 5 players, and maybe that would have happened. But given the 4v4 change, someone has to go, and maybe not just one person, as we'll talk about in the coming minutes here. There was a lot of discussion in yesterday's comment section on exactly what the Huntsman might do. Intrigued to hear your thoughts once again on this one down in the comment section below. Like if you guys enjoy the video, subscribe if you are new as always. Thank you for 27,000 subscribers. It's remarkable the growth in this channel over the last couple of weeks. Hopefully we can keep that going. The more of you hit the subscribe button, the more that YouTube will push this video to new potential competitive Call of Duty fans, and that helps the entire community. Let's jump into things then. So this is what Call of Duty League said yesterday. Season 2 Intel 4 versus 4 confirmed, as you can see in the background right here. And as a result of this, of course, absolute chaos is going to ensue for a lot of the professional teams, but a lot of the big name players not going to be able to get onto a starting lineup, as then ESPN comes out and confirms the Call of Duty League will not expand before the 2021 season following the end of its inaugural year. I said confirmed, it's not yet confirmed, but well, ESPN saying this is pretty likely that this is indeed the case. And as they say, rather, both the league and team owners hope to showcase their original business plans, particularly the popularity of offline LAN events in the city-based league, before looking to recruit franchise buyers for an even higher sum. So they're like, Activision's like, you know what, we won't expand this season for 25 mil, we're going to showcase what we can do and sell the spots for 30, 35 mil next season. Who knows, because apparently they've got a lot of interest. They definitely could be bidding each other up if we're only expanding by 4 teams. Supposedly there's many more organizations than just 4 interested in buying in, but it doesn't look like it's going to happen this season. That means a lot of players are going to be out of a job, and it's a concern for a number of the great players on great teams, but also the organizations themselves. Who wants to let go of a really good player if they're going to go and form another team that could potentially compete with yours in the 4v4 arena? Less room, I suppose, to create absolute god squads. This is what Cronut CDL Intel says. Free agency officially begins on September the 14th, but teams have until September the 6th at 11:59 PM to exercise the extension options. A lot of these contracts are what we call 1+1, so they've been signed for 1 year, and then they have a year potential extension if the organization wants to keep them on. And well, the player can say, oh, you know, I don't want to play for you guys, and maybe they'll let them go. But if the organization wants to use that extension clause in the contract, they can keep them on. And that will be relevant in a few minutes time here when we talk about Octane Sam as well. The potential of him going to the Chicago Huntsmen was certainly talked about in the comment section below of yesterday's video. Scump said this then, thankfully 4s are back. Now we just have to hope we can play on LAN again. So let's begin this discussion on exactly what the Chicago Huntsmen roster might look like. Right now, of course, Scump, Formal, Envoy, Arcetes, and Pristini, the twins on the starting lineup. Now, of course, Scump and Formal are not going to be going anywhere. I wanted to share this quick clip which James pointed out to me yesterday with Formal and Scump saying on stream that it looks like they'll be teaming together, and of course this is no surprise to anyone.
Dude, I actually went
Seth again next year?
like,
Yeah.
Bad.
No, I'm just saying.
Bro.
Don't tell Seth, bro, but I literally can't leave him. I'm stuck with him now, so like, you know what I'm saying?
Fucking
Get the bourbon, get
Yeah,
the
I'm
bourbon
teaming
out
with him,
on
bro,
me
like,
again.
come on, man.
not moving, bro.
This guy's sniping me, dude. You fuck
I think
off,
I'm stuck with Seth until he retires, you know what I'm saying? Or I retire.
Where's the dog, Seth?
I think I'm good, I think I'm good.
He's at
Pretty sure.
Jude and Hector's right now.
I'm stuck with the
probably the
motherfucker,
regame.
bro.
So Formal and Scump will certainly stay. These are the 2 big names on the organization, and the ones that, well, you know, they're not going to get removed off this team unless they decide to retire, as Formal talked about. And Scump, I don't think he wants to retire, as we saw from that tweet. Like, he's looking forward to come back on LAN, probably looking forward to a tryout game, and probably is looking at the success of Crimsix and Clayster and these guys and thinking, like, you know, I can still do this. I can still win world championships, and that's what I want to do. So I don't really see him going anywhere this season. Maybe next season, who knows? But certainly Scump and Formal were going to be staying on the starting lineup. That then brings up which of the other 3 guys do you keep, if anyone? And certainly I think Dylan Envoy is going to stay. He's one of the most talented players in the league, especially in an SMG role, and it's difficult to find great SMGs in the Call of Duty League right now. Dylan Envoy is certainly one of them. In addition to that, it certainly seems like to me that Hector is trying to mold Envoy into kind of the next Scump of this team, or at least like the next big face of Call of Duty Esports. Definitely, you know, has good on-camera presence, and is someone who I think Hector is looking for the long term to be kind of the face of the organization rotation once Scump potentially moves on to Content or whatever happens in a few years' time. That seems like the future of the organization is Dylan Envoy, and Hector certainly wants to keep him on. So I think that Scump, Formal, and Envoy, for obvious reasons, are going to be a core 3 on the team. I don't think I would be absolutely shocked if Scump, Formal, and Envoy aren't on the team next season, and I think the only way that doesn't happen is if Scump decides to retire or something crazy like that happens, or just some offer comes out of the blue from nowhere for, you know, doing content or something like that. I don't think it's going to happen though. So I think it leaves Scump, Formal, and Envoy as the starting 3, and then you ask the question, who is going to be the 4th on the team? Is it as simple as just getting rid of Pristini, right? Because that's what a lot of people are saying. Okay, maybe you keep Arcites on as like the flex role, because if you're looking at this team from a traditional Call of Duty perspective, 2 SMGs, 1 main AR, and 1 kind of flex, and I think that's, to be honest, what you have to do. In modern Call of Duty, like, okay, we've seen a lot of ARs this year at times on certain maps, but this year pretty much was SMG dominated, and in previous games we've generally seen SMGs come to the fore. So Scump and Envoy as your SMG duo is fantastic. Formal then as your main assault rifle. You then need to find someone who can kind of fill that flex role. This was the discussion about Octane, which I think, like, this is why I don't think that Octane is necessarily the best pick, because you put Octane and Formal on one team, at some point during the year there's going to be some maps on which 3 SMGs are going to be required. If you knew for an absolute fact that it was going to play exactly like Black Ops 4 and there was going to be 1 ICR, 1 Maddox, and 2 Sorgs on the map, of course it was 5v5 then, but that's probably how it would have played in a 4v4 setting, then okay, great, we get Octane on the ICR, we get Formal on the Maddox, and get Scump and Envoy on the SMGs. The problem is, that's not probably going to happen, right? And on certain maps, 3 SMGs are going to be required. At least some point during the year, I imagine 3 SMGs are going to be needed on the map. So as your 3rd player, you really do need someone who can play both roles, in my opinion. And that's, of course, where you might say, okay, let's keep Arcites on the squad. The problem with that is that, of course, Pristini and Arcites have been on the same team back in the day, on the United squad and all this kind of stuff. And then, of course, they split up going into this season. A few months down the line, the gunless thing happens on Huntsman, and Pristini joins back with Arcites. Do they want to split up again after 6 months after getting back together and, you know, feel like that's probably the way to go forwards? Because, I mean, it was pretty tragic when we, you know, when Florida beat the Huntsman and we had that interview on main stage and everything, and it was a painful one to watch, to be honest, between the twins. So that being said, do these guys want to stick together next season? I think that is definitely possible indeed, and even though Arcites has shown he can be a competent flex, do they keep him on the lineup here and just drop Pristini? I mean, I think the other way around wouldn't make quite as much sense, keeping Pristini, dropping Arcites. If anything, I think the likely situation is that we get Scump, Formal, Envoy, and then Pristini and Arcites move off the team together, and they get a different kind of flex player on the organization. That is what I expect to happen. You guys might have a different opinion in the comment section below, but as you can see, competitive stressing me out so much this past year, says Pristini. You get this one as well. You know, it's late, nobody gonna see this, but wowzers, I am stressing, kind of saying that, like, look, my life is in a difficult spot right now. Am I getting dropped from the team? What is going on? I mean, you know, if you're Pristini right now, you're probably thinking that's the case. He did another tweet that was deleted, but Arcites replies, wish we could have won more this year, like, love you and everything. So who knows, of course, but I think it's a very high likelihood indeed that these guys try and stick together next season. And of course, that begs the question, what happens to the Chicago Huntsmen? I've broken it down like this. I think that Scump, Fall, and Envoy will absolutely stay on the starting lineup, and then you've got Arcites, Pristini, and of course, someone we haven't mentioned so far this video, that being Gunless on the substitute bench. The way I see this panning out, and of course, this is a prediction, this is pure speculation, nothing to back this up, but the way I imagine it might go is that Scump, Fall, and Envoy stay on the starting team, and Arcites, Pristini, and Gunless could well team up again as their own team of 3. Arcites and Gunless are great friends. Of course, all 3 of these guys have teamed together back in the day on the United squad that first won championships back in Infinite Warfare with Silly on the squad. I can definitely see it happening that Arcites, Pristini, and Gunless get back together as a trio and they go elsewhere to another organization. That is certainly possible. If that is the case, that leaves Huntsman looking for a different 4th than is currently on the team. These are all the players in the Pro League, and well, you might have different opinions in the comment section below, but I just looked through this briefly and broke down a couple of players that may be being considered. Octane was one we talked about, but you know, in my opinion, it's possible that Seattle will even use the extension clause on him and keep him on the squad and try and build around him with a different squad once again. And even if that's the case, do you want Formal and Octane on your team in a 4v4 with the potential that we have 3 SMGs on the map and the game plays somewhat like Modern Warfare? I think that's too risky. You need someone who can play both roles. The other question, of course, is then around Dashy, as you can see at the bottom here, on the OpTic Gaming Los Angeles substitute bench right now. Dashy could certainly come in. Then again, we saw Slasher talking this season that Dashy wanted to be a main AR last season, and once again, if the game is 3 SMGs, do you want Dashy on another SMG? I'm sure it'll be fine. He's obviously a very talented player, but that's not his ideal role, I think, throughout Call of Duty history. So maybe if you're, you know, if you're the Huntsman, you want someone who can genuinely play a flex. And as we said about Arcites and Gunless potentially going their other ways, I mean, Gunless would be a great fit in theory, right? right? Like, let's say we didn't have to think about personalities or, you know, clashes or anything like this. Scump, Formal, Envoy, and Gunless, like, what a team that would be in theory. And it was a great team at the start of the season, right, of course. But it didn't work out. There was certainly clashes between Gunless and Envoy, and I can't imagine they team together again, especially with the possibility that Gunless is talking to us season saying, look, do we want to just jump ship here and make our own squad with, you know, someone else we bring in a different fourth? So, of course, look, if we're thinking from the perspective of a, you know, a flex player on the squad, what potential options are there out there? And I think the FaZe have a lot of great flex players like Priester, for example. Selim, of course, is one I rung here, but, you know, I don't think that's going to happen, right? I imagine FaZe keep hold of, you know, Abizi, Simp, and Selim as their guaranteed 3 for next season, so I don't think they're going to be going anywhere. You've also got GodRx to consider. This was a name I did ring. I'm not exactly sure this is, you know, particularly likely, but GodRx is a great player this season, of course. He can definitely run a flex role, as he kind of did on the Rocker this season. Was slightly better with the AR in hand, though, so once again, it depends on exactly what the meta situation looks like, but it's possible the Huntsman look to pick someone up like this who doesn't necessarily have the greatest track record of all time, but is clearly a very talented player in a similar way to them picking up Envoy last season, I suppose. That could be an option to consider. Of course, I did ring a Tachio on the subliners. You know, I don't think that's particularly likely. I imagine subliners will want to keep hold of a Tach to next season, but again, he's kind of the player that could fit in this role quite nicely. Pharaoh as well, I rung. I don't imagine the Huntsman guys would want to play with him, but he's certainly a fantastic flex player. And when we talked about great flex players throughout history, Gunless has been the name that comes up. They have him sitting there on the bench, but due to the issues this season, I doubt that's going to happen. Do the Huntsmen go for someone who they're good friends with, like Formal maybe good friends with Skies, but then again, you probably run into similar issues with Octane. That, you know, is 2 ARs, but also, do Mutineers want to keep Skies? Probably so, right? And then there's guys like, you know, Vivid, for example, that Alec might be good friends with on the Gorillas, and he might be a good fit for the squad, but once again, we're going down the route of, are we going to try and get another Envoy onto the team rather than someone that we've necessarily played with in the past and have good success with? So lots of questions to be asked here. I'm really not sure what direction this is going to go. Jacob Throw points out, Octane said on stream he's staying, I think, or at least he thinks he's going to be staying on the Seattle organization. Scraps also says this kind of interesting reply, not sure what is happening. It's not up to me, bro. Kind of saying that, well, the organization decides, because I'm on the 1+1 contract, whether they want to keep me on for another year. And if that's the case with Octane and, well, Dashy, I mean, who knows, right, what OpTic Gaming Los Angeles want to do. Not saying that's incredibly likely, but if they do want to exercise the extension contract, then, you know, I guess Huntsmen are somewhat powerless to actually get some of these players onto the organizations, as we talk about once free agency does kick off on September the 14th. This is then what the calendar looks like. The extension deadline is September the 6th, but the multiplayer reveal is soon after that on the 9th for Call of Duty Cold War. All-Star Weekend, September 12th to 13th, the kind of 1v1 gunfight thing that's going on right now, or at least is planned for a couple of weekends' time. It looks like that will indeed be on Modern Warfare, unfortunately. Then you've got free agency, September the 14th at 12 o'clock, you know, right at the start of the day, and this is where free agents start beginning. So effectively, they have until September the 6th to decide if they want to keep players, and then it's absolute, well, absolute madness, to be honest, when the players start trying to grab these players from other teams. Really intrigued to hear your thoughts down in the comment section on what will happen to this Huntsman squad, though, because I do think that Scum, Formal, Envoy are going to stay. I can definitely see Arcetis, Pristini, and Gunless going their separate directions. That leaves one spot open for a different player, and I've talked about some of the issues really that I see with a number of the big talents that we talked about. The likes of Octane, the likes of Dashy, of course, might not be ideal picks for a couple of reasons that we looked at. For that reason, what route do they go down? Definitely intrigued to hear your thoughts in the comment section below. Like if you guys enjoyed the video, subscribe if you're new as always, and I will see you next time.